Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the 10-Minute Wellness Podcast. It is Brianna Wilkerson, your host. And I just got to confess something before we dive in. I have had so many different versions of my previous podcast. This one was the Mommy Me Time podcast before. Now it's a 10-Minute Wellness Podcast and it's here to stay. But, as I've shifted, as I've grown in who I want to serve and how, the name shifted too. So every time I introduce myself to the podcast, I'm always like, I always feel like I'm gonna get the wrong name. So I was about to say something completely different just now, but I was like, okay, 10-minute wellness. And what's so interesting is it's hard to say that, but it's like, as I look back on the last 10 years of coaching, of health coaching, moms and women, and 10 more years previous to that of going on my own, a healing and wholeness and wellness journey and self-care journey holistically, all of this 10-minute idea is literally, it just has been like pooling around in that whole thing, right? Where that 10-minute idea, let me just say this, the 10-minute idea isn't like things will only take 10 minutes. It's just a launching pad, right? That if you only have 10 minutes or less to take care of yourself and pour it back into yourself, it's worth doing. It's worth doing. So many of us are so caught up in a 30-minute or 10K steps, like all this sort of stuff. And like, that is great. But if you have 10 minutes and you only walked 1,000 steps, that's better than nothing. And your body will thank you for it. And I am noticing that right now too with my own health and fitness journey. And that's actually what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about movement. So this flowed in well. But, I've been really nearly 6 months postpartum. By the end of this month, it'll be 6 months postpartum with my third. And I've definitely moved more than I have in the other two, mainly because I have more kids to take care of, but also because I've just made it, I just didn't want to make an excuse to not move. And so, yes, I didn't do all the sort of workouts and finish this postpartum rehab program that I wanted to finish at month 3, but I'm going to finish it at month 6. I'm nearly there. And I've gotten a lot of walks and a lot of other movement in between. And that has laid the foundation. Let me tell you, that has laid the foundation so that as I start to increase weight, as I start to increase the length of workouts, the intensity of workouts, the variety of workouts, my body's going to have a foundation because I did not stop. The consistency is key. I even see this with my kids in school. We took a break. Like, we had 12 weeks of school and we took a fall break, which is normal. Term 1 fall break. And jumping back in today, I was like, oh my goodness, this is like, not that, okay, taking a break with some little ones is not easy either because they still need to be entertained and do stuff. So all this to say, consistency is key. Consistency is key. Can you say that with me? Consistency is key, right? It is the key that is going to help you continue to feel better in busy seasons. It's the key that when you're ready and you have more capacity to dive deeper into your goals, then guess what? You're going to have that foundation there. All right. And so I want to say that, and that's why these 5 kind of steps today, 5 steps to move more. This came from a guide, a free challenge I did. Then I changed it into a tool that's a part of my toolkit for clients. And I just think these 5 steps are so simple, but they are so monumental and they're so transformational. Because I'm going to say this as someone, I feel like I'm tearing up right now. Just like the amount of grace that I have had to apply to myself in the areas of my health, in the areas of business, in the areas of my house, in the areas of even parenting and relationships. It's just like, it's so much more than I ever want to give to myself because I just want to be put together. I want to get things done. I want, but the grace, this is the verse that came to me. I don't know if you're faith going, but this verse literally to this morning was like, His grace is sufficient for me, for His power is made perfect in my weakness. So I will boast about my weakness. So Christ's power will rest on me. And I was like, let this be my prayer, that let me not be ashamed of my weakness or ashamed of not getting things done. Because that's how we feel. We feel shame. And that stops us from either being consistent, that stops us from moving forward, that stops us from sharing when things are hard and getting support. So we're removing the shame and we're filling up with grace. Like we're filling ourselves up with grace. And here, these steps are grace-filled steps that like when you are in a busy season, not just time-wise, but like capacity-wise, just like you don't have it in you to be intense in anything, you can move. And this is step 2. Moving with joy is step 2 in the Reset and Recharge Challenge. So if you listen to the last episode, I talked about nourishing your body with water and how that was the first step. Doing that in the morning to start the way. First step in this 21-day Reset and Recharge Challenge, where you're going to try to do all 5 of these, right? And the second is moving with joy. And I've talked about this since day 1 in my coaching, is that when I first started being consistent and stopped like just putting myself through workouts that were too much and called for too much of me and were not sustainable in the end, I just started moving with joy. And that was simply walking. And I will always vouch for walking. The benefits of walking are so superb. Like it's so superior to so many things, right? And that's why you've probably seen the rise of 10K steps for simple movement, but to just help people move, because back in the day, we didn't actually, exercise is a new concept. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just something you did, you moved, you had to. But living a more stationary life where things are just a little bit more, convenient in some ways, we have to be more intentional with it. And that starts with moving more. And I'm just going to say from now, this is not going to be 10 minutes. I have too much to say on this topic. Anyways, the first step to moving more in your daily life is to really take stock of how much you're actually moving. And I don't mean just looking at the steps, like wearing a watch for a week. You could do that. That's one way. But another is to just reflect. Do you have a job where you sit the majority of the time? How often do you find yourself getting up to walk or move around? Do you walk, drive, bike to work? If so, how far? How long does it take? Are there other times a day where you're active? This is just taking stock, inventory, like where am I actually active throughout my day and moving my body? And this is going to tell a lot. Like you're just going to be able to know like, oh, I need to move more. Oh, for me, I'm always on the move. I got young kids, but there's still ways that I can move more. And so that's what I've been doing rather than waiting around. Sometimes at my daughter's gymnastic practice, I'll put the baby in tow. Husband will play with the other kid, put the baby in tow, and I will go walk and listen to an audiobook at the same time, actually. So win-win, right? Or like, yeah, if he needs to sleep and he's having trouble, like the kids are outside playing, I'm like, okay, I could rock you in this like porch rocking chair thing, or I can just walk around with you in the carrier, which is what I do. Which is what I did today. That was my workout. Okay, so just take stock. And this is, again, full of grace. You can wear a pedometer or Fitbit or Apple Watch, whatever you need to, or you could just do those 5 reflection exercises. But once you know once you identify times or situations where you can move more, ask yourself, okay, what can I do? It's very simple. We want to do 10 minutes or less, right? So literally, if you're like, I eat at my desk, I sit at my desk almost all day. Okay, what do? Okay, I'm going to take at least 10 minutes on my lunch break to walk around the parking lot, to walk up and down the stairs, to just walk, to move my body so I can just get movement in there, right? And this isn't taking any other time outside of your day. You're already at work. You already have a lunch hour. It's just taking 10 minutes away from your desk. All right. Now, say if you're home and you're stay home with the kids, similarly, the kids are playing, walk around, or invite the kids to go on a walk with you, or have a little dance party, or just do something that is simple to move, and just ask yourself how often you want to do it. Is it every lunch? Is it 1 time a week, 2 times a week? Start simple. Know thyself. If you're going to be like so ambitious and do 5 days a week and feel bad about if you don't do it, start with 1. Honestly, start with 1. Then add 2. Then add 3. Okay? Some other ideas is just park further away. I feel like me and my husband, I noticed this about us in our marriage. He is patient enough to look for the best parking spot, which is typically closer, right? And more ideal. I'm impatient, but also I'm like, I don't mind the steps. So I'll park the furthest away as possible. I'm like, a parking spot. So either way. Anyways, take a break for every hour. Also get up, walk around for a few minutes, walk around while you're on the phone. And so forth, right? So first step is take stock. How active are you in your daily life? 2, how can you move instead? And then 3, track your movement. Just know, again, tracking does not have to be just steps. That is one way. But if you're going to be all about down on yourself when you don't hit your step count, don't do that. I like to do time-based. I do have something that tracks my steps, just like, oh, interesting. But when I do my walk, it's time-based, or workout time-based. Like, oh, I'm going to try to get at least 10 minutes, right? Because some days I'll walk faster, some days I'll walk slower. It's fine. 10 minutes, right? You can create a journal where you're tracking all your different exercises. You can use an app like MyFitnessPal, so forth. Okay. Fourth is then once you're just moving more and moving more with joy. Again, it can be walking, it could be dancing, it could be something. I think I will say start with walking. Simplest thing to do. If you can't walk for many different reasons, like there are different, don't let that be a barrier. Just find some way, some safely approved way for you in this season of life to move. And even speak to a professional if you need to about that. For planning and exercise. So what exercise do you enjoy your most? It might just be walking. Girl, do that and start planning it in more. It might be like, I love CrossFit, which I do. And so I'm doing a CrossFit kind of based postpartum rehab program. Oh, the baby's up. I thought I put him down. Anyways, I did. He woke up. And I am wanting to go back to the other workouts where I can increase weight and all that, but I'm doing it slow. So you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to make sure and stay true to rehabbing well so that when I do other those, I'm good to go. Right? What times of day are best for you to incorporate those exercises? Mine is during my kids' playtime, late morning or late afternoon before dinner. Like those are just I'm not the I'm gonna get up in the morning to do it. That's what my husband does. And I love him. He does it so I can have time later when he comes home, but I'm not going to do it then. I'm up with a baby. No. And then write a really simple SMART goal, right? Like, I'm going to walk 10 minutes a day around my office parking lot 2 times a week. That's very measurable. And you can actually see, did I attain that? But also be loose with it. I think the goal should be either the amount of days or the amount of time, again, 10 minutes, as often as you can. Okay, and then number 5 is reflect, celebrate, and adjust. I like to call this RCA. Reflect on how exercise went this past month. Again, are those 21 days if you're doing the challenge? Did you meet your goals? Why or why not? What can you celebrate? How often did you tick that off when you did it? What are your exercise goals for next month? And what do you need to adjust so that you can meet those goals? And this reflection process is important because I suck at this sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, okay, great, let's move on. Versus reflecting and celebrating, because that really helps you adjust well. Often I feel like we're making changes from a place of like, I didn't do as well versus I did well. And when you make it from I did well, you're more likely to succeed because of the positive reinforcement. It's just like with your kids. If you're teaching my daughter to read, if I was like, don't get it wrong, whatever, she wouldn't read. But if I'm like, that's okay, we're learning. That's all right. We can take some time to learn. If we need to stay here, if we need to come back, that's fine. She's more likely to continue wanting to learn how to read. You see what I'm saying? Like this positive reinforcement, this positive affirmation works. There's a reason why we talk about it. And so celebrate yourself. And if you're in the 10-minute wellness community, celebrate with me, with us in there. But I'm going to go now because my kids are going to bed and they're in the room next door because they didn't go to the back office. That's fine. And my baby woke up. So real life. But anyways, I hope this was helpful for you. Just like realizing that we can have grace for ourselves, but we can still move forward in our goals by just making those small steps daily, right? So those 5 steps to move more. Let's review them. So the first one is taking stock, how active you are in your everyday life. 2 is choosing to move instead. 3 is tracking your movement. 4 is planning and exercise, intentional exercise. And 5 is reflecting, celebrating, and adjusting. Okay, I don't know if y'all can hear them. I can hear them. It's time to go. But if you have not grabbed it yet, go grab it. Go grab the 21-day reset and recharge challenge. You can do this how often you want. You can change out the 5 things, but start with those 5 things and just focus on the water, the movement, the nourishment, the mindfulness, and the gratitude. I just gave away what the 5 are, but it has a beautiful tracker. You can celebrate along the way. I'm going to go through this 5-part podcast series to dive deeper into each of those areas to give you some more tips and ideas, as well as just encourage you. All right, grab it, then join our Facebook community, and I can't wait to cheer you on.